Welcome to the show that everybody has been waiting for. It's time to rank the parks. As you know, I went to all 30 MLB parks in 30 days, which makes me clinically insane, but also validated to rank these. So without further ado, let's go. For my rankings, we're going to have 5 categories, each worth a maximum of 10 points. This will be location and surrounding area, aesthetics, exhibits and atmosphere, staff and friendliness, food and drink options, and overall experience. Now keep in mind, these rankings aren't strictly based on how the park looks or how the park feels or what's around the park. That is part of it, but it's kind of a combo of that plus my experiences. So if these rankings don't exactly align with yours, it's okay. It's just my opinion. But that's enough out of me. Actually, you're going to hear from me a lot, pretty much the whole time. Nonetheless, here we go. Number 30. This one should not surprise anybody. It's the Oakland Coliseum. I said it when the video came out. It does kind of look nice when it's like that, though, doesn't it? Here's what I said after the game. Look, I don't want to get too much into this because there are nice people here. It is a great town that deserves a good team. What is your organization doing? You're overcharging for everything. A lot of people hold this stadium in high regard, and I get the old school feel. I get why. In terms of just a neutral experience, listen, I'm left with a very bad taste in my mouth, with the exception of the beer. That left a good taste in my mouth, but everything else, not so much. It's not like I had a bad time in there. I had a good time talking to the people around me. It is what it is. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. The location is awful. The atmosphere is non-existent because nobody goes. The stadium's not well upkept. The staff make it clear they don't want to be there with the exception of 1 or 2 people. I'm not saying you can't have a good time. I'm just saying, in comparison to the other parks, it's miles off. I will say I sympathize with the people of Oakland because it's all been confirmed that the team is moving, but for the purposes of these rankings, Oakland Coliseum is number 30. Number 29. Another easy one, Lone Depot Park, Miami Marlins. I tried to make this one last place, but that should tell you how bad Oakland's park really was. And generally speaking, this park actually isn't that bad. They've got some local food options. They've got local Cuban beer. It's the staff that make the experience so miserable. And I'm not going to rant on that again. If you want to hear what I have to say about the Miami Marlins organization, you can check out episode 14 in the archives. I'm not wasting any more time on this. Let's move on. Number 28. Guaranteed rate field, home of the Chicago White Sox for a few reasons, but first I want to focus on one of the more positive moments of the trip. There's so much friggin' corned beef on this thing. I'm in love. Wow. The sheer volume of this thing is gonna vault it to the top of the list. And it's good anyway. Oh man, that got better as oh my God. Oh my God. It just gets better as you keep going. This is crazy. Yeah, whatever's on here is unbelievable. You know the food is good if you're dancing to it, right? But here's a massive problem. I would have never gotten to try that sandwich or any of the other cool stuff on the lower level or see any of the cool stuff on the lower level if I didn't buy a lower level ticket. Now, some people might say, well, you don't have a ticket. Why are you on that level? This isn't club level or suite level. This is just most of the park. I can't see any of it. And let me be clear, no other park in the major leagues is like that. This is the only one. And let's be clear, it's not the best park anyway, but there are still cool sights to see, and the food on the lower level is much better than the food on the upper level. If you're coming in from out of town and you don't know that, all of a sudden you get there, and if the White Sox happen to have a big crowd, the lower level tickets might be way more expensive now, and you've just found that out the day of because they don't tell you beforehand. They just have signs inside the park. Anyway, you might think that's an overreaction. I don't think it is. The park's already not in the best location. That policy is an abomination, and it's not difficult to see why the White Sox don't really get big crowds these days. The food was good. The staff were great. I have no issues with that. I'm not going to pretend like it was the same bad experience I had in Miami and Oakland, but you got to sort that out. Number 27. In the minds of many, this is actually number 30, but not to me. It's Tropicana Field. Now, I'm not saying it's anything to write home about. What I am saying is there are some unique aspects to this park. It's the only stadium in the league with a fixed roof. They have the fish tank. They even have an arcade in there. Who else has that? Plus, they have a short rib grilled cheese, which is amazing. You should definitely check that out. But other than that, there's not really much to the stadium. It's in a horrible location. Not many people go to the games, so much so that the upper deck is almost always closed. They are trying to move to a new stadium, so if that happens, that'll be interesting. But until then, they'll probably be low in a lot of people's rankings. I'd go back, though. Good food, great people, cheap tickets. Number 26. And now I present to you the most controversial pick of this list, Yankee Stadium. And I'm not sorry about it. I'm not saying the stadium isn't nice looking, and I'm not saying the Yankees don't have a lot of history, because they do. What I am saying is the park is very underwhelming. It's not easy to get to. It has the most expensive parking in the league. 5 members of the Yankee staff told me they had no local IPAs in the whole park. All they told me they had was this Pinstripe Pills, which if that's your claim to fame, we have a long way to go, because that was absolute mud. Anyway, this wasn't the first first time I'd been there. I wasn't impressed the first time. I wasn't impressed this time. American ballparks have come a long way, and there are just a lot better than this one. It's just the way it is. Doesn't mean it's bad, just means there are a lot better. Number 25. Angel Stadium, not much to say about this one. It's a bit outdated, hasn't been renovated in a while. It is in a decent location. The staff's very friendly. They put a lot of effort into their memorabilia, their history, things like that. It'll always crack me up that they call themselves the Los Angeles Angels. And for those of you saying, well, Anaheim's near Los Angeles, go try to drive from Anaheim to Los Angeles. Let me know how that works out for you. Number 24. Ah, yes, Coors Field, where you drive through tornadoes just to eat deep-fried bull testicles. That's living, baby!
Not bad. It's bang average, as they say overseas. Nothing that really strikes you as overwhelming or over the top. Some people don't need that, your baseball purists will just say, well, I'm just here to watch a ball game anyway. Totally cool. This is probably the place for you in that instance.
Yep, that is still how I feel. Nothing special here. Decent food, nice people, majestic views, and I parked in an official Rockies parking lot, which was over a mile away from the stadium. Now, I know this is the Mile High City, but you are high if you think I want to park over a mile away from the stadium. Number 23. Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, and who could forget everyone's favorite made-up food item, the Sky Rosa. It's a weird one though, because this park was built in 2003, which actually makes it one of the newer ones, 11th on that list, but for some reason inside it just felt a bit outdated. Not sure why. Disclaimer, I did not get to visit the Cincinnati Reds Museum that's inside the park, and I'm told it's amazing. If you watch the series, you all know how I feel about museums and history and memorabilia, things like that, so I will be checking that out next time I go. Maybe I'll update this list. I highly doubt this will be in the top tier by any means, but might jump up a few places. Number 22. Nationals Park is an interesting one. It was built in 2008, so it's one of the newer parks. The surrounding area is awesome. Bars and shops everywhere. It can be a little bit tough to get to, though. I think they could do better with the food and drink options, but it's a fun day out, and the Nats offer $5 tickets on game days if you have the MLB Ballpark app, and they get huge bonus points in my book for that. They actually care about the fans. Number 21. This one might be a bit controversial, but Globe Life Field is number 21. It's actually the newest ballpark in Major League Baseball. It was built in 2020, and if you go there knowing that, it's kind of shocking, because it is good, but it's nowhere near the level of some of the others. It's saving grace, the food, because my God, I had 3 food items there, and I'm being serious when I say if I did a top 10 list of foods from the whole trip, these 3 would probably be in the top 10. And speaking of 10, we have our first perfect 10 score of the trip. Even though the beer was one of the worst I've ever had in my life, the food was that damn good, and that 10 is well deserved. And they've added more foods this year, so it's just more reason to go. Everything else, though, not the best. I don't love the location, and I was told by some of their fans that their stadium is soulless. Now, I know it wasn't the best atmosphere, but that kind of seems harsh. But they said it, not me. So there's our recap so far of part 1. I already know I'm going to hear it from Yankees fans, but all I can say is I'm being honest. But I want to know what you thought. What did you agree with? What did you disagree with? Leave it all in the comments section below, and I'll put links in the description to every individual episode of parks that were mentioned today as well, if you want to check those out. But I hope you enjoyed part 1. We'll be back for part 2 very, very soon. But until then, take care of yourself. Peace and love.
Hustle all day. Grind.